We now have a very exciting panel coming forward, and it is the North American Innovation Panel featuring the 2024 NAI OTT-DOE Lab Inventor of the Year Award. Our moderator for this remarkable panel is my dear friend and fellow board member of the NAI, Leese. Leese is a fellow of the National Academy of Inventors. She is the Chief Executive Officer of Technology Vector, Inc., the CEO of PICOSYNC Technology, an entrepreneur in residence, and the UCSD Office of Innovation and Commercialization. Please help me in welcoming Leese and her remarkable panel.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. We're each going to introduce ourselves, so I'll take a quick minute, and then we'll go down, and everyone will speak as well. So I'm Leese. You actually heard my main introduction there. I was a government scientist for the Navy for 34 years, and now I'm out in industry, and you heard that part, looking at the world through a different lens, which is very exciting. So I'll pass it on to John.
Great. Thank you, Anna. Wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me. I guess I'm the opposite of you in that I've been out in private industry for most of my career, 25 years. And then not quite 2 years ago, came into public service. So I lead the commercialization team at ARPA-E, Advanced Research Projects Agency for Energy. We are the U.S. Department of Energy's, my Apple Watch loves to get triggered. So we lead the transformative energy R&D funding for the Department of Energy. We have a wonderfully broad mandate to enhance the economic and energy security of the United States and ensure that we maintain a global lead in energy, and that lets us go from everywhere from precision ag to agriculture to fusion and work on programs everywhere in between.
Very nice. Vanessa. Hi, Vanessa Peña. I'm the Director for Policy and Practice in the Office of Tech Transitions in the Department of Energy, so another side of the house, in our energy mission for the nation. OTT was codified by Congress. Actually, in statute, we are an office with the mission of supporting the commercialization and technology transfer activities and coordination of that across our DOE enterprise, which also includes our 17 wonderful national laboratories, cutting-edge science and expert researchers across the nation, as well as the plants and sites that support the national security missions. So very excited to be here. A little bit of my background. I'm about 1.5 years into this role, really pulling together the policy function in support of addressing commercialization barriers within the department and across the enterprise, across universities, extramural researchers, and our intramural researchers. I come from a little bit of a lens as to give you a sense of that, as a biomechanical engineer. I transitioned into the public policy and science policy area a little while ago. Have been in DC for about 15 years, and have worked with colleagues across the federal government and really understanding different best practices, exemplar models, and trying to bring that flavor and innovative thinking into the department in terms of how we can continue to improve, continue to engage in new and innovative ways with our stakeholders, and bring in and help generate those transformative ideas that lead to impacts across our nation. So very excited to be on this panel. Thanks. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. My name is Tobias, Rodill, Managing Partner of Command Strategies. We're a specialty business development company focused on the Department of Defense and the intelligence community. We've been in business for about 15 years at this point, represent around 14 universities, for-profit entities, et cetera. Our company is comprised of primarily retired uniformed and civilian program managers across all the service with operational experience. We work directly with program managers within the DoD and the IC community to really understand their needs and requirements, their pain points, and then we partner our clients or other entities with those program managers to establish large funded programs that will eventually transition out to the end users. Prior to Command Strategies, I was with a government relations firm for about 8.5 years, working on Capitol Hill, managing a number of issues from energy, transportation, healthcare, appropriations, and defense. And most recently, we actually licensed out a technology from a university that is a member of the Academy, spun a company around that technology, and have secured about $14 million in SOCOM funding to further develop that technology for dual use, so both on the commercial market, but also within DoD.
Thank you, Toby. So we're here to have a conversation about American innovation. I have a huge faith in American innovation, which is founded not only in sort of my experience within the government with innovators, but and in life, but also because of our history. Having led through the Industrial Revolution, the digital revolution, I'd like to argue that we're currently in the midst of a sustainability and a quantum revolution. And so the challenges, though, these days are different and new. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about those. I was taking some notes from things I heard yesterday. We heard things about the younger generation, and they have different ideas about IP. I think there's some challenges going on in terms of sort of the respect of IP generally in many different ways. But we also have these really positive effects of diversity that we're starting to see and we've heard a lot about. So I'm near and dear to the government, having served 34 years, and we all have these connections to the government. So I think the government plays a really important role in fostering and inspiring innovation and enabling it, really. So we're going to hear some different views on that today. So John, can you provide a brief overview and some examples about first the IARPA system, maybe how it's inspired things historically and how it has, and also how it's helping now to cultivate innovation in America?
Yeah, for sure. And the earlier panel was on it's a great time to be an inventor, which I really enjoyed those comments. I think it's a great time to be partnering with the government as well on the invention process from what I've seen in my now almost 2 years at ARPA-E. Just a little comment on the ARPA concept throughout the US government. We were joking in the green room before. ARPA-E is kind of the teenager, the unruly teenager, perhaps, in the ARPA world. We were modeled on DARPA, the Department of Defense, which is 70 years old and has had tremendous success. We were launched and started funding our first work in 2009, so we just celebrated our 15th birthday. And more recently, there have been new ARPAs. So there's an ARPA-H for health, an ARPA-I for infrastructure out of the Department of Transportation, and an IARPA, Intelligence, Advanced Research Projects Agency. I think we're all motivated by this, something we say every day at ARPA-E, is going and funding teams that are working on high-risk, high-reward projects. So we go to those difficult white spaces where government funding can be catalytic, de-risk that technology so then that private enterprise, whether that's large corporates or venture capital, can jump in to advance it. And so that really motivates us. And as part of that high risk, high reward, something else we talk a lot about at ARPA-E is if it works, will it matter? Those are tightly linked. So we have our team of program directors who are our technology leaders of the organization who are determining what are those really hard white spaces that support that mission of economic and energy security and enhancing US energy leadership. They're figuring out where should we be going, fusion first wall, materials, new nitrogen, ways to enhance the pickup of nitrogen in crop systems, new renewables to liquid fuel programs. And then we have the team that I lead, our tech to market team. Our mission is to make sure that innovation, invention doesn't start and end in the lab. And so we work closely with the project teams we fund. About half of the teams we fund are universities, a quarter are startups, the remaining quarter are national labs and corporate R&D labs. We work with all of those teams kind of as their nagging parent / personal trainer on, okay, how do you've got to nail it technically, and we have very rigorous milestones that we set up in an ARPA-E project. And those are the bulk of the work, is getting that really hard technology work done. But then our team works closely with those project teams to say, okay, great, but how are you engaging industry? How are you engaging investors? How are you thinking if you're at a university, what happens in month 37? Typical project,
exactly,
36 months.
That's a perfect lead to Vanessa, is this subject of transition. And so can you tell us a little bit about, or a lot, whatever you can fit in, about how the government is enabling? We heard that, how ARPA is doing that on the ground, right? Boots on the ground every day. So what kind of processes are in place from your perspective to help that?
Yeah, absolutely. So transition is in the name of our office, right? So you would think that we are helping support transition. Just like earlier panels were talking about the definitions of tech transfer. Similarly, right, we question what does transition mean, right? And it's a big, huge process. Right? It's the innovation process. It's all these factors that need to come together, all these stars that need to align, from the technology to the manufacturing to the scale up to all your external environmental factors, regulations, et cetera, that need to come together miraculously for that breakthrough to really see adoption, right, and be commercialized. So we support certain parts. We can't support everything, right, naturally, but we try to, in OTT, focus in on a few different areas, and I'm going to talk about 3. One is specifically around, I mentioned earlier, the engagement with different external stakeholders. That includes agencies, right, across the interagency, but also with what we might have heard the term non-traditionals, right? Are there new and innovative ways that we could think about beyond our current funding opportunity grant structure or cooperative agreement structure that we could think about in ways that we can implement within the agency that help us reach organizations that don't traditionally work with government, where there are amazing ideas being generated across our entire nation. So how do we tap into that? And so one of the areas that we are looking into has really been driven by the CHIPS and Science Act and really all the unprecedented funding that has come from the federal government, across federal agencies, and specifically into the Department of Energy. Billions of dollars focused on a new way and really transforming how our organization has been organized and how we are playing across the research, development, demonstration, and deployment continuum, right? We have to look across that entire continuum and that spectrum of how we can support. And so, John talked a little bit about being the toddler or the teenager. I think we are more like a toddler. We were established in 2015. Tech transfer certainly happened, and commercialization was happening prior to 2015, right? But what we help do is leverage, right? We are a leverage organization that really helps collaborate across the Department of Energy, bring other stakeholders together, and push the boundaries and connect, make the connections that we need to fill gaps across the department and crosscuts across the department. So in the CHIPS and Science Act, we were authorized to engage in a completely new way with the stand-up of a foundation. There are affiliated foundations across there's probably about a dozen of them across the federal government. But the Foundation for Energy Security and Innovation, FESI, is a new effort, new initiative. Our board was just announced a few weeks ago, that we've been leading, and it's cross-DOE, supporting the cross-DOE mission, and with also a particular focus on commercialization activities. So we're very excited about the opportunities for the foundation to really help us activate philanthropic funds, raise private sector funding for initiatives that are in line with our mission in different ways, and engage with stakeholders in different ways that the government, quite frankly, cannot legally engage with, right, in fundraising activities and the like. So we're really looking forward to the foundation. We at OTT also support incubators, and we support the broader regional innovation ecosystems. And we're building over the past few years a network of different regional incubators that are working with our national labs, working with universities, startups, entrepreneurs to bring services and resources to better see those impacts from the research and drive research to impacts. A couple different areas, which I'll touch on lightly because the time is counting down, are also related to providing and infusing private sector thinking into the federal government. What I mean by that is we've done that a couple different ways. One is we've created liftoff reports. If you go to liftoff.energy.gov, this is a culmination of a few years of work where we have been focusing on different technologies and providing a fact base on the economies of scale around different technologies, nuclear energy, grid modernization, et cetera. So we are focused on providing and infusing and using that fact base developed through thousands of interviews with private sector industry across the nation to help shape and inform our thinking around our investments. So that's helping, again, influence and drive commercialization.
Wonderful. That's an innovative way to promote innovation.
The liftoff reports are terrific, by the way, so highly recommend them.
Liftoff.energy.gov.
Awesome, thank you. So Toby, you have a different perspective. You are a private business owner, but sort of in the orbit of the government. Can you give us your perspective and maybe include some challenges? So we're hearing all the positive stuff, all due respect to the government, been there, and that's what we do. We're trying to do that. What is it like to be on the other side? Can you give us some perspective?
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I appreciate that. You know, one of the things that I was looking at when we're coming onto this panel is looking at the geopolitical environment that we're in currently in the great power competition, really focused on the Department of Defense and the intelligence community as funding is being let now. And how is that really shaping or influencing the culture within the innovation ecosystem as a whole? So if you look back historically, maybe 10 years ago, industry, academia, government labs really operated more of in their own silos. So government labs would put out specific to DoD, BAAs, RFPs, RFIs, and they're really broad topic areas. And unless you knew a program manager that you could sit down and speak with to really understand what they cared about, what their needs are, and what the end state of the requirements would be, you know, a lot of universities were struggling to win awards. Those that were very sophisticated did very well, and they continue to do very well. And I think we've seen a shift with the great power competition. In around 2017, 2018, the DoD looked to see, okay, how can we get out and innovate better? Very similar to what my colleagues here were talking about. They started the Defense Innovation Unit. They started the Army Research Laboratory Open Campus, where they actually had embeds or ARL employees at universities throughout the country looking for those non-traditional companies, looking for universities that had a unique capability that could innovate quickly for the end state or the technological needs at that time. And I think one of the other challenges that we had back then is that there was a challenge for industry and academia to work together in a trusted environment. One of the panel members yesterday mentioned that when working with industry, they would give 20% of the information to the tech commercialization office or to the university, but they always want 8% of the information back. And I have seen over the past couple of years that trend changing. at this point right now. So we're involved in major defense programs. One is sponsored by NAVSEA or the Navy that has 40 vendors, and it's small businesses, large defense contractors, non-traditional companies, and academic institutions that are working together as a team to achieve an end state for the Navy. This particular program is around battle damage assessment and repair. But this collaborative effort is really looking at technology regardless of the funding levels and sharing understanding, sharing technology, sharing the ability to take a puck as an example and ruggedize it for a mission need. And I didn't really see that happening years ago, but today that is absolutely happening. I think additionally what we're looking at is in the global environment with our allies. Pre-COVID, I traveled to all the Five Eyes nations, met with a number of universities, MOD, DOD, and the biggest challenge that they had is that the United States would always look to pull technology in, but based on our ITAR and export controls, we would never push it back out. So there was a reluctance for international universities and allies to do work with us. I think our country, the DoD, has realized that, and we have formed new agreements, such as AUKUS. Yep. We signed a new agreement in December of 23 with Japan around artificial intelligence and UAV research. So I think the innovation ecosystem is moving in a more rapid pace, looking to bring technologies up that TRL scale quickly, but have the industry partner involved throughout the process so they can then transition it to the marketplace, especially for dual-use technologies. We talked before about microreactors, hydrogen development, expeditionary energy, stuff that DOE is funding, stuff that DOD is funding, and that they're funding in partnership right now. I think one of the major challenges for universities, non-traditional, so small businesses that are not familiar with the defense market are all the new security restrictions that are coming down on research as well. And I don't think it's just in DOD, but DOE has the same type of requirements. I see it spreading across other agencies as well, such as CUI or CUI, Control and Unclassified Information, the cost to build those systems within a university. Obviously, there's best practices through the consortiums that we build out where the universities share information on how to do a cost-effective manner and to get the technologies put in place. But you also have your tech protect plans that have to go in as well around protecting the IP that you're developing and all those additional security requirements.
Yeah, thank you. It's a lot. It is a lot. In fact, I just had to go through some of that myself as a new business owner and sort of wrapping your mind and your budget around what is all that, those requirements to keep things protected.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think we have a few minutes. We've heard some different perspectives, and we have a few minutes for questions if there are any from the audience.
Near to the mic, so
yes, please.
I'll
yes,
jump
please,
on.
So we can all hear you. Yeah.
It's mainly for Jonathan. Like we see HBIR has some STTR and those type of projects basically funded to small business. Mm-hmm. And the mission is if that kind of projects can be funded directly to the professors, that have a very big impact on the market. So that would be kind of, I had a discussion with the TIP director also. So they're kind of encouraged to do that. So ARPA-E would be encouraged to do that, like similar funding directly given to the professors, to the university.
Yeah, so we put out proposal calls in DOE speak FOAs, or Funding Opportunity Announcements. And those are open calls that go out and are open to university professors as the PI, or it could be small businesses, large corporates, national labs. So that's broadly what we do for technology-focused program areas. We also have some specific programs that we have been implementing to help first-time PIs get their first grant. So in July, we're going to announce our first awardees under a program called Ignite, which is going to early career investigators, where we have a lot of university investigators who are participating in that. We also do very broad open calls, not technology focused, but every 3 years we run something called Open, which we have a solicitation that's outstanding right now that is looking for just send us your great ideas. This year it's focused, a little bit focused, it's on energy generation, energy transmission, and the carbon transition. How do you make carbon-based molecules without fossil hydrocarbons? But anyway, those are all open to university professors. Toby hit on a very key point, which is and what I've seen now in government, and this isn't just for ARPA-E, I think it's pretty broad, we want to engage diverse, broad communities, and as public servants, our job is to make ourselves accessible. So reach out, engage program directors. I can help navigate that, standing offer for anyone here, and to help make this process easier.
Thank you so much.
All right. With that, I think we need to conclude. So maybe we can thank our panelists. Thank you, guys. It was fabulous to hear your opinions. And now I'm going to give the stage over to Vanessa, and she has a special award to give.
All right, I'm so pleased to announce an inaugural award that we have collaborated with the National Academy of Inventors to develop. This award is a novel award created in partnership, as we are a sustained member, new sustained member with FNAI. And we understand the value of recognizing innovation, recognizing inventors, and individuals who really symbolize and epitomize the values around creativity and pushing those boundaries and espousing that within their organizations and making those impacts from their research discoveries. So in choosing the awardee for this inaugural award, we wanted to recognize an inventor who was pushing the envelope within their field, had cutting-edge discoveries that are making impacts in the world, but also an innovator who is also thinking about commercialization and supporting commercialization across their organization. So we were impressed with Dr. Jason Sang's body of work, the partnerships that he's created within the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory, PNNL, one of our national laboratories, to help create and commercialize energy storage devices. But just as importantly as leadership in the field, he has showed partnerships with the Tech Transfer Office in creating a licensed flywheel program that was co-developed with the PNNL's Technology Transfer Office. This program expedites technology transfer by facilitating prospective licensees access to samples and data needed to explore and test PNNL-developed IP and technologies. So please help me in welcoming Dr. Zhang as the inaugural awardee of our OTT&NI Innovator of the Year Award.
Thanks, everyone. I would like to thank the Office of Technology Transition and also the National Academy of Inventors for this prestigious award. And also thanks DOE's Vehicle Technology Office for their long-term financial support on my battery research. And also thanks my colleagues in PNL for their collaboration and long-term support. And at last, I would like to thank my wife, my son, and also my father and mother for their lifetime support. Thanks, everyone.